Hello, Poisonies. This episode has kindly been supported by the lovely people at Emporium 32, a Salem-based business who reached out to us and have kindly put together a special offer exclusively for our listeners. Emporium 32 is Salem's premier vintage-inspired lifestyle shop, and they are also fans of the show, featuring offerings handmade by owners Gillian and Nick, along with over 100 independent artists and makers. They have something for everyone looking to bring a bit of Salem magic home with them. They carry a wide selection of fine hats, which they guarantee are all arsenic-free, accessories, unique home decor, handmade jewellery, beard care and grooming products, alongside a wide range of drinkware, bitters, syrups and elixirs, also arsenic-free and all perfect for complementing your own Poisoner's Cabinet. Their online shop is relaunching in November, and Poisoner's Cabinet listeners can enjoy 10% off their purchases by using the code ARSENICALARM. Do check out their website, emporium32, the number 32.com, and also find them on your usual social media channels. Welcome to the Poisoner's Cabinet. I'm Sinead.
And I'm Nick.
And this is your weekly podcast exploring the lives of the great poisoners and macabre murders from across the centuries and creating curious cocktails inspired by the tales that we tell. And it's episode 131.
It is.
It is.
Hooray. No.
Oh, that's a sinister hooray.
Hooray.
It's almost as if you're in the mood for Spooky Month.
This will go too far. It's going too carried away.
I won't let this go,
Absolutely
Nick.
not. Couple of weeks left of this nonsense.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to crowbar in every single thing about spookiness that I can. I went pumpkin picking today.
I know you did. The glee in your face.
I've never been pumpkin picking
Have you
before.
never been pumpkin picking
no,
before?
No, it's not. Well,
Oh.
it's not so much of a thing around here.
No.
Local wonderful farm, the Wonky Parsnip.
The Wonky Parsnip, which is a good name for a farm.
Oh, it's so good, and they are brilliant. And the first day they opened, I was bloody there, knocking kids out of the way.
Queuing up outside at 6 a.m, waiting outside with your thermos. I need pumpkins.
Wheelbarrowing through people, and I did get the beast.
The Beast.
The beast pumpkin.
I just like it's just known as the Beast. Throughout Kent, it's like, oh, she got the Beast.
I'm going to share a picture of it, and our American followers are going to go, "That's tiny."
It's a tiny pumpkin.
Yeah, it's the biggest one in all the land has ever seen. No, it's not going to win any prizes, but it was a joy. It was a joy to go frolicking through and tripping over vines, which I did many times, and just have a wheelbarrow full of pumpkins to the point where the woman who runs the place went, "Wow, all right.
Okay.
I think I have a problem."
Yes. And you got these back in your car?
I did.
Right.
How else did you think
I
I
don't
got
know.
them
That's
back?
stacked up on the passenger seat with a big smiley face drawn on one of them or something.
Oh, I missed a trick.
Yeah, you did.
I went to Morrison's and I locked the car. I'm not even kidding, Nick. And I had a word with myself in my head outside of the car. I covered up the pumpkins, left my purse visible on
Oh,
the
that's fine.
on the
I mean, there's
seat.
the laptop and the iPad and the...
But no one must see the pumpkins.
But no one must see the pumpkins.
Not the big one. I was like, someone will have that. Someone will have that. They'll break into Morrison's car park at 11 a.m.
To steal the Beast from the back of your car. So the word has got around. Oh, she got the Beast.
She got the beast.
There were people queuing up behind you going, oh, she got the fucking Beast.
I drove away from the farm and the woman waved me off and she immediately picked up her phone and went, "Tell everyone." So yeah, I have pumpkins now all over my garden and I've made a display and I'm not sure why I did it.
So you can actually watch it rot over the next few weeks.
And then I'm going to carve them. I'm going to carve some next week for our lovely, lovely craft.
Are you going to carve the Beast?
I don't know.
You're going to carve a beast into the Beast?
I could do. I feel like the beast needs a carving.
A carving.
A carving. That's a thing. Let's go with it.
Okay.
Yes, we are going to be doing a lovely craft along, a live craft along next Friday, the 28th of October, over for our Patreon subscribers. Everyone's going to bring a craft. We're going to have some drinks. We're going to build stuff. We're going to carve things. We're going to knit things and answer some questions. So Patreon subscribers, that's something to look forward to.
I just get to build my Lego, so I'm happy.
Everyone's very much here for the Lego.
Very excited for the Lego. Yeah.
Well, any poisonings this week, Nick?
No. But I think that's being saved up for the Halloween season week.
Day. the event.
Day of death and poisoning. Alcohol poisoning then, yes.
Speaking of pumpkin picking and finding beasts in your car, I think it is time for us to thank our delicious Patreon subscribers.
Yes. Probably. I wonder if any of these people are, in fact, pumpkins. You're all marvellous. Thank you very much to Lauren Garugilo.
To She-Wolf.
To Yebin Won.
Dale Williamson.
And to Jen M.
Thank you very much. So much, you delicious, sexy Patreon subscribers. Thank you to everyone who's also upgraded from Arsenic Aficionados to Cyanide. Well, Nick, are you ready?
I think so.
To drink cocktails and talk about poison?
Why not?
Or we could drink poison and talk about cocktails.
Now, what's that there? What's going on there?
It's a voice.
It's just a voice.
It's a legitimate voice.
A legitimate voice, okay. Do not want to take away your legitimacy. I apologise.
Let's go with the first one. It is my story this week. Hooray, hooray, hooray. But we can't possibly have a story without a cocktail in hand. As you know, dear listeners, every week we choose a secret ingredient that is inspired by the tale that we tell, and it will flavour our cocktail of the week. So this week's secret ingredient is a dagger. A dagger.
Not very poisony.
No. That should give you a hint as to the method of death in this story.
It's a slight giveaway.
If someone was holding a dagger and then poisoned the shit out of someone, then yes.
Misdirection.
Indeed.
Misdirection.
To the person you've killed. What? No, it's a dagger in the library with Colonel Mustard.
Excellent.
What have you come up with?
So, you said a dagger, so I've gone with a dagger.
Oh, is that what it's called?
No, it's called a cloak and dagger.
Cloak and dagger.
Yeah.
Has an air of mystery about it. Well, I think it is high time for us to go under the cover of a cloak into the poisonous cabinet kitchen and shake up a storm. So we'll see you in a minute.
We'll see you in a bit.
And we're back.
Hello.
Well, Nick, a cloak and dagger.
Yeah.
Now, cloak and dagger, I suppose I was expecting something dark and mystical. This looks bright and fresh.
Yeah, I'm regretting my glass choice.
Okay, well, it's a highball.
Yep.
And it's a lovely pale lemon colour, really.
It is.
There looks like some effervescence in there, so either there's some sort of fizzy drink or you've put it in Alka-Seltzer.
You never know.
Planning ahead. All right, so cloak and dagger.
Yeah.
Cheers. Merry Christmas. Okay. Well, it's my jaw is doing things. That's got a sour twang to it.
Why is your jaw doing things?
It's quite sour. That sour kind of sharp and sour. I don't know.
It's daggery, sharp, spiky.
Sour is the taste of revenge. That's interesting. I'm not opposed to it. I'm confirming and denying nothing.
Okay, right, okay.
Well, I heard something pop in the kitchen. Either your lower back or... Is there cider in this?
No.
What? Oh, well, then I'm fucked, aren't I? Oh, has it got fizz in it?
Yeah!
Oh, good. Okay. Sorry.
Hence the bottle here.
I literally just turned my head. Oh, there's a bottle of fizz there.
There
right.
we go. Yes,
be
there
honest...
is some fizz. Cider has been nowhere near any of this.
I don't know. It has that kind of sour taste to it. Okay, so there's fizz in it.
There's fizz, yeah.
Something else. I've got a terrible palate. Or you have terrible fizz.
It's not just fizz.
Okay.
There are other things in a cloaky daggery way in the fizz.
I think you need to take off the cloak and show me the dagger.
Gin.
Yay.
Some sugar.
Sugar.
Bit of lime.
Bit of lime. Oh, lime we've gone with rather than the lemon. Yeah, we're in the French 75 territory, but we've gone astray.
And some chartreuse!
No! Oh, God. Why? That's why it tastes like bloody cider.
No.
It tastes weird. That's the thing.
It's a last word, French 75 hybrid crossover.
Smash. I genuinely don't know how to feel about it, regardless of the chartreuse in it. It just tastes weird. I'm still going to drink it.
Yeah, because I put it in this highball glass. I think in the picture it's in a flute.
Oh.
So there'll be a lot less fizz. So the spirit ingredients would be a lot stronger in that because there would be less fizz in a flute than you get in a highball. But then if it was like in a flute or something like that, it would be a lot stronger. Well,
it's true because I didn't spot the chartreuse in there, but there was something taint right. It's got a sour twang to it.
Stuff going on.
It's got fucking twigs in it. That's what's the problem.
It's got twigs. The green one.
Is it green?
It's green chartreuse.
Why is it yellow then? Have a word with chartreuse, Nick. It needs to... Don't you start saying that that's green. Don't make this the black and gold dress.
It's not yellow.
It's yellow.
No,
acid yellow, I would say.
Which is a greeny yellow. got lime in there.
It's not freaking green, is not what it is.
It's not fucking yellow either. It's somewhere in the middle.
All right, let's just agree it's purple.
Yes, it's purple. Let's go with that.
It's not bad because you have put a lot of fizz in it. It's weird.
Well, no more for you then.
How much chartreuse is in it?
It's about half an ounce.
Yeah, see, that's all right. That's perfectly acceptable. To
Oh, is it?
7 ounces of fizz.
To a bucket of fizz, and you have half an ounce of chartreuse.
Well, that's the perfect amount. You know what would be a better amount? No chartreuse and just fizz.
Rude.
Do you like it?
I don't. It's. I'm not going to make it every week. It's not. I don't. I find it perfectly pleasant.
Would you make this again? This is the question.
No, probably not. 131 cocktails that we've done, and some more, because we've done multiple ones. So perhaps even like 140 cocktails. How many do I make on a regular basis? 5, 6.
Yeah, we should revisit every now and then. Have a weekend of working through them.
Yeah.
We like the fact that you bring the creativity every week to us on the show. Okay, with the cloak and dagger in hand, we're still going to drink it. It's fine. Are you ready for a story, Nick?
Oh, go on then.
Okay, now I have to prepare you for your expectations to be raised, then briefly lowered, but then raised again.
Okay, I'm looking forward to the briefly lowered section of the evening.
Because we are off this week to Salem.
Oh.
But we are not, I'm going to say it right off the bat, it may shock you to learn, not going witch hunting.
Fair enough.
We are not doing the Salem witch trials this episode.
Yep.
We tossed a coin this month on which of the famous witchy stories we could cover leading up to Halloween, and the outcome will be revealed next week.
But it's not Salem.
It's not Salem. It's not Salem. Which other one could it be? Of course, the story of the Salem witch trials is huge, and maybe we will save it for another time. To be perfectly honest, it is a truly tragic tale.
It is not a good story.
As all witch trials are. It's immensely important. It's fascinating. But whereas other cases of witch trials have actual murders in the midst of the mayhem, the Salem witch trials, the only murders that were committed were against the innocent people accused. That's it.
Yeah, it's not much fun.
That is the murder. There may have been an accusation thrown in there, but no one was killed apart from the people who were hanged and pressed to death. Maybe we will come back to it one day. But yes, while we're not covering the Salem witch trials and we build up to another witchy story for Halloween, I still couldn't get Salem out of my head. And that's when I did a bit of digging to see what else is Salem known for, because it can't just be about the witch trials and hocus pocus, much as we'd love that to be true. But while we're in Salem, we have a brutal murder to solve, Nick.
Well, that's no fun.
Yes, a murder, not just any old murder, not just there was a murder, it happened to be in Salem. No, it was a sensation. It was the crime of the century.
Was it?
The crime of the world, people would have it known.
Okay.
Influenced many a writer. We are going to investigate. We have got a miserly old man. We've got a killer on the loose. We've got blackmail. And we've got lots of lovely, juicy, legal shenanigans and landmark rulings.
You and your landmark rulings.
I don't know if it was a landmark ruling, but they did change the law a little bit. So yay!
So definitely landmark. Definitely landmark.
Is there anything more spooky than a landmark ruling?
Right.
Yes.
I can see this is going to be your book that's coming out, isn't it? Forget the poisoners, forget the cocktails. It's Sinead's landmark rulings.
I have no patience for that. I have a few that I'd put in there, and then the rest of it will just be me just going screw Flanders over and over again. Let us head to Salem in 1830. Now, in 1830, Salem is a thriving port city where maritime trade is booming, and you have many a local merchant strutting around the place, being very pleased with their massive amounts of wealth.
As one would if one was massively wealthy.
Oh yes, strutting full stride they are. Salem is home, actually, to America's first millionaire. Actually, the wealthiest man on the planet at the time he died, E. Haskett Darby, was an international trader and property magnate who was worth $31.4 billion in today's money.
That'll do it. Quite a lot of money.
Big hats he had. But we're going to go to another wealthy magnate of Salem, Captain Joseph White, a wealthy retired merchant of Salem who had amassed a huge fortune as a shipmaster and a trader. He lived in a very grand house on Essex Street, which is now the most famous and popular shopping and tourist street in the city. 3-story red brick home with huge white columns at the portico.
A huge veranda.
Well, a carved wooden roof balustrade.
Very fancy.
Carved it was.
Carved. Whittled from a living tree.
They make a big deal out of it. I'm like, so it was a banister, basically.
But a fancy one.
At this time, Captain White was 82 years old. He'd never married, but he'd had
Too much whittling. I don't have time for that nonsense. I've got banisters to carve.
He had a very small staff to keep his home. I say small staff. It was a maid, a housekeeper, who was also his niece, who had come to live with him. The woman, Mary Beckford, was reportedly a fine-looking woman of 40 or 45.
Yeah.
But yeah, she has to earn her keep for staying there. She's his favourite niece, by the way. So he deems...
And he's given her a job.
A few crumbs from the table.
A most benevolent uncle.
Literally. He has a maid and a manservant, Benjamin White, who's also another distant relative. So he just
Nepotism runs in the family.
Come and stay with me. Also, do clear up all my shit. So, little miserly, shall we say, this fine mansion. He is happy for everyone to know how rich he is, how powerful he is. He keeps an iron chest in his bedroom that is filled with gold doubloons.
Lovely.
And kept them close by him rather than entrusting those pesky banks. But where did this gold come from? Well, Pirating.
Buried treasure.
Let's just decide which we prefer. Shipbuilder, merchant, pirating. That's an option. Maybe that's a secret life. He did trade fish and produce and shoes and people.
Yeah, I knew that was going.
Oh, Captain White loved him some slaves. Loved buying and selling people for his own personal gain. Now, you may think I'm just using hyperbole here, going, oh my goodness, he had slaves. At this time, Massachusetts had abolished slavery, banned the slave trade. So Captain White had obviously had a very long career beforehand. And he had boasted to a Salem minister called William Bentley that he had no reluctance in selling any part of the human race.
Yeah.
So it's fair to say that gold in his iron chest is soaked with blood of the people that he had traded and who had died on his ships.
No, it's not fun.
But at the time, no one is really going to shun Captain White.
He's got a load of cash.
He's got a load of cash, and this industry has been in everyone's family for a very, very, very long time. These families would have made their money exactly the same way. So let's not talk about it, but let's not cut anyone out because of it. Salem minister Joseph B. Felt wrote in 1791, "A few of our merchants, like others in various seaports, still loved money more than the far greater riches of a good conscience, more than conformity with the demands of the human race, with the law of the land and the religion of their God." But Captain White was not just a bastard upon the high seas. Oh, no. He would later be referred to as a sweet, innocent old man.
Yeah.
No, in his retirement, he proved to be a bitter old man when it came to his family.
Nice.
You know what his favourite thing in the world was? Changing his will.
Oh, okay.
Based on whoever had annoyed him that day.
Oh, I like it. That's height of petty.
He would constantly be tearing up and rewriting wills. He would use his vast fortune.
Well, you would.
You would?
I would. God, yeah. If you had a vast fortune that I might leave to you, I might not. Depends how much you piss me off, really. I think that'd be great fun.
This toast isn't quite brown enough. Well, I need to get out my quill, apparently.
Exactly. No, that was too toasty. Nothing for you.
You can use your fortune to make people bow to your pressure to get whatever you want from your family, from those who are nearest and dearest to you. And it sounds like he did this a lot. He was constantly changing his will, constantly worried about who would get their hands on his fortune and using it as a stick to beat you with or a carrot to dangle. We joke. There had been a very large dispute in his family 3 years prior to the time we're in now. His grandniece, Mary, daughter of Mary Beckford, so she's the favourite niece who lives with him. Now, a lot of people in this story, I'm sorry, have the same name.
That's just rude.
So Mary Beckford is his favourite niece. Slash housekeeper. Daughter, also called Mary.
Of course.
Mary Jr. She fell in love with a man named Joseph Jenkins Knapp. Joseph Knapp. Now, he is also a junior, but Joe Knapp, we're going to call him throughout the story. And she had sought permission to wed him. Now, the Knapp family were respectable in Salem. Decent, good family. Captain White was having none of it. Nope, he was a gold digger. Gold digger. Favourite niece, favourite grandniece. No, you can't be marrying this man. If you do this, you are disowned, you are disinherited. Mary Jr. basically flicks two V's at her granduncle and says, no, I'm going to marry Joseph anyway. Yeah. Absolutely, she is disinherited, out of the house. She goes and lives with the Knapp family about 7 miles away from...
Good for her.
Salem Town Centre. Yeah, good for her. Love conquers all.
Does it really?
On the 6th of April, 1830, Captain White goes off to bed about 9:40 p.m. Mary Beckford Sr., his niece, the housekeeper, is off to see her daughter, Mary Jr. She has gone to stay with her. So the house is pretty quiet. He's got his servants there, heads off to bed. He has more wills to write.
Absolutely.
6 a.m. the next morning, the manservant wakes up and went about his business to find that one of the windows in the parlour was open.
Oh.
And a plank of wood was leaning against it, leading down to the yard below.
So let's have a fun BMX evening. The old man just on his on his penny farthing out the window, zooming around the place. He was.
That's why he amassed his fortune,
exactly.
so he could get the biggest windows possibly for that one loop-de-loop.
That big old ramp he's got built.
Well, that's not the first conclusion that the servant leaps to. Well. He goes, maybe there are robbers. Maybe someone has tried to break into the house. That's not right. He goes and gets the housemaid and says, okay, we're going to check the house. Let's go up and see the captain. Let's go and make sure he's okay. And they enter the old man's room. They find the door open and Captain White lying still across his bed, but the sheets are covered in blood.
No.
The captain's head has been bashed. The skin is not broken, but there is clearly an indentation.
Big old bruise.
Yeah. And also, there are many knife wounds across his chest.
Many knives.
Yes.
And tire marks and all sorts. Don't know why I've got that in my head.
Penny farthing cycling along and he's stabbing someone with an umbrella just as he goes.
This is how it works.
Well,
ultimate English crime.
No one will ever catch me. I'm the penny farthing bastard.
It's Jack the Ripper.
Is that how he got away?
Yeah. Penny farthings across the rooftops. Anyway, I've solved another crime. Need to get with this one.
The body is cold. The servants look around the room, but they find no valuables missing. That big iron chest, the one that is stock full of gold doubloons.
Booty.
Yeah, you could just at least open it and get a handful if you can't move the chest. The chest would be terribly difficult to move. No, all the possessions are as they should be. Ooh. So the servants raise the alarm. A prominent doctor and the captain's clerk attends the scene. The clerk brilliantly notices a footprint near the open window and he gets a milk pan and he covers it. He covers it to preserve it. Unfortunately, he's about the only person in America at the time who thinks this could be evidence.
This could be important.
No one is taking plaster casts of footprints. No one is paying any attention. That milk pan sits there for years. That poor clerk is like, but please.
Look, I've got a clue.
Dr. Samuel Johnson, not that one, carried out the autopsy, sticking probes into the wound to determine their depths and their size. The doctor concluded that White had been struck over the head and had either been stunned or killed outright. And then there were, and I quote, 5 stabs in the region of the heart, 3 in the front of the left pap.
Right.
That's the nipple.
Oh, is that so? I did not know what that was.
And 5 others still further back. But yes, the pap.
The pap. Never heard that before.
But all of those stab wounds have been delivered by a small dagger.
Ooh.
A dirk. Da, da, da. The man takes a long time to probe around in the wounds to determine the size. So he says it's definitely a dagger. It's not a sword. It's not a knife. It's nothing else like that. It is a dagger. To the point where a second autopsy is carried out to go, we have to determine at this stage what was the cause of death. Was it the blow to the head or was it the stabbing? And it's very difficult because the first doctor has like prodded around in the wound so much, really just like made some purchase in there, just like, stirring around like, yep, definitely a dagger.
Definitely
well, we can't fucking tell now, can we? But it is thought that the captain whacked across the head, stabbed 13 times.
That's a rageful, that is. That's
In the meantime, the local news reports, Salem Gazette, we love you. The painful duty devolves upon us of announcing that in our peaceful town, which we had hitherto believed to be secure from the midnight assassin.
Oh, the midnight assassin!
Those crimes of the deepest dye which have occasionally stained the annals of European nations.
Absolutely.
And of some parts of our own country. A, capital letters, murder!
Not a murder!
Has been perpetrated so horrible and atrocious that we should in vain search the records of time in any country for a case exceeding it in enormity.
Slightly overplaying things, I feel.
The single purpose of the perpetrator seems to have been the taking of life.
Yeah, 13 stab wounds will give that indication.
No money and nothing of value was either taken or sought for, though many valuable articles and relais doubloons were in the chamber.
A relais. What's that? Is it a
shitload.
Just a shit. I loved. It's just
Love. So God bless the Salem Gazette, because
was that just the headline?
Yes,
just the whole front page, just block capitals.
The Salem Gazette runs this story in lurid detail,
nice,
beautifully, and apologizes for it constantly, and yet apologizes for nothing.
Yeah,
Stephen White, who is the nephew of Captain White, he offers up a reward. He absolutely releases all the details to the papers and says, no, we need to find this person. The Salem Gazette is like, we're going to sell so many papers. The paper ran the autopsy report in full. I haven't included it because it's massive.
Yeah.
They said, however revolting the subject may be, we have deemed it our duty to lay before our readers every particle of authentic information we can obtain respecting the horrible crime which has so shocked and alarmed our community.
Yeah. It's like you get that on TV now, like, footage may contain disturbing images or whatever.
Subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone goes, right, I want to fucking see this then.
They may as well have put, buy our papers every day because this shit gonna get real.
Yeah.
You would as a local
absolutely.
paper. They are going to be delighted. There's like no one's been killed here.
Bugger all else going on.
We can't keep reporting on the witch trials. In an 1830 editorial in the Rhode Island American, another paper, harking back to Salem's troubled history, it said that the city was forever stained with blood.
3 times.
Now, while we may laugh, imagine reading this at the most horrific crime in history, apparently.
Has ever happened in the history of the world.
Indeed, and if you live in Salem and you read it, this is your only source of information.
Yeah.
And you're going, oh, God, this is happening here. So, of course, residents are arming themselves, loading up on weapons that they can find. Knives, cutlasses. We're still in the days of cutlasses.
Yep.
Yay. Pistols, watchdogs.
Absolutely.
Everyone's getting a watchdog.
Everyone's getting a dog.
I like to think they're not on leads, they're just being held. Pointed.
It's like under the arm, like a big gun, like a blunderbuss, but it's a dog.
Yeah, you cock the gun.
It's just going to shout and bark at people.
One guy's got a dachshund. It's like, another guy's got a St. Bernard, he can't lift it. Someone got a cat, they ran out of dogs. The Smithsonian did a lovely piece where it said the sound of new locks and bolts being hammered in place was everywhere. Longtime friends grew wary of each other. What can a city do, though, Nick, when people are fearful for their lives?
Police.
Police are good.
Some sort of police presence, maybe.
I think you can do one better. I think you can do better. You can organise a committee of vigilance.
Right. That does sound like some sort of superhero gang.
The Committee of Vigilance, 27 people from the community.
Right.
Basically neighbourhood watch.
Neighbourhood watch with big sticks and guns.
With guns.
Nice.
You have to picture Homer the Vigilante from The Simpsons here. That full group. They were sanctioned to search people's houses without a warrant.
Nice.
They are kicking people's doors down, eating the good food, drinking the good booze. I'm taking this apple pie for questioning. But they are seemingly committed.
They're doing it. It's from a good place. Yes, absolutely.
They want to help and they want to do right. They all took an oath of secrecy.
This is desperately sort of secret society sort of. So we go search everyone's house, but we shan't tell anyone what we find. It's a secret.
Or what we do. What happens in the committee stays in the committee.
Absolutely.
But for all of their oaths and warrantless searches and strutting around like big shots, no one was any closer to finding the killer for several weeks, for a long time. And you'd think that, with this many people in... Yes, it's a city and it's a very thriving port.
Yeah.
A lot of people coming through.
And going.
Yeah, a lot of people coming and going. But people talking to each other, maybe they would make some headway. What was worse is that on the 27th of April, Joseph Knapp Jr., remember the husband of White's grandniece, told the committee that he and his brother John had been attacked. They had been attacked the night before the murder by 3 robbers. They were on the road returning from Wenham. And 3 people came, they snatched the trunk from the horse and trap that they had, disappeared into the night, and they're saying, why are you looking for these people? They came to the committee and gave them this information. Now there's a gang of killers on the loose. Great, let's write that up in the press and everyone just get more guns and more dogs. As the investigation rolled on into May, clues suddenly start landing in the committee's lap.
Do they?
They're not doing well enough themselves.
All of a sudden.
They receive a letter from a jail in New Bedford. An inmate and petty thief called Hatch. He claimed that while he was in a gambling house back in February of that year, he had overheard two men, brothers Richard and George Crowninshield.
Okay.
Good name.
Fancy name.
Planning the robbery and murder of Captain Joseph White.
Oh.
Now, these two men, Crowninshield family, was respectable, known, but the boys were the black sheeps.
Yeah.
They were known to favour haunts of vice.
Surely not.
The committee were able to question Hatch and then get enough to arrest Richard and George Crowninshield and hurl them into jail to await trial. But as they are hurled into jail, a letter arrives at the home of Joseph Knapp Sr., the father.
The father, yeah.
You get this? I'm sorry there's so many similar names.
The father
with
of
me.
the niece's husband.
Now, I have edited this because it was lengthy, but, dear sir, it reads, I have taken the pen at this time to address an utter stranger, and strange as it may seem to you, it is for the purpose of requesting the loan of $350, for which I can give you no security but my word, and in this case consider this to be sufficient.
Okay.
At all events, I think it will be for your interest to comply with my request.
Right.
If you do not comply with it, the refusal of it will ruin you. Are you surprised at this assertion? Rest assured that I make it reserving to myself the reasons and a series of facts which are founded on such a bottom as will bid defiance to property or quality.
Okay. That's some fancy blackmail going on there.
It is useless for me to enter into a discussion of facts, which must inevitably harrow up your soul. No, I will merely tell you that I am acquainted with your brother Frank. So, brother Frank?
Okay.
And also the business that he was transacting for you on the 2nd of April last. And that, I think, that you was very extravagant in giving $1,000 to the person that would execute this business for you. But you know best about that. You see that such things will leak out. I have said enough to convince you of my knowledge and merely inform you that you can, when you answer, be as brief as possible. Direct yours to Charles Grant,
Okay.
Prospect, Maine.
So he's implying that the husband's father has hired an assassin.
This letter is sent to Joseph Knapp Sr.
Yes, so Joseph, that's father.
Yes, but he's implying that Joseph Knapp has hired and his brother Frank. This is the confusing thing, that it's sent to the father, but it's referring to the
his
son. His son, your
Right.
brother Frank. You have engaged in this business where you've hired someone and paid them £1,000 and you need to send me money. Otherwise, I'm going to spill the beans. Okay.
Okay.
So daddy goes to talk to his sons and goes, what's this? And his sons say, it's utter trash, utter trash. Take it to the committee. Take it to the committee and have them investigated. At the same time, a letter is received by the chairman of the Committee of Vigilance. And it says, Gentlemen of the Committee of Vigilance, hearing that you must have taken up 4 young men on suspicion of being concerned in the murder of Captain White, and that is the Crowninshield brothers and 2 guys that they knew. I think it is time to inform you that Stephen White came to me one night and told me if I would remove the old gentleman, he would give me $5,000. He said he was afraid he would alter his will if he lived any longer. I told him I would do it, but I was afraid to go into his house, and he said he would go with me and that he would try to get into the house in the evening and open the window and then would go home and go to bed, meet me again at 11 o'clock, and I found him and we both went into his chamber. I struck him on the head with a heavy piece of lead and he stabbed him with a dirk and he made the finishing strokes with another. He promised to send me the money the next evening, but he's not sent it yet, which is why I have reason to mention this. Yours, etc., Grant.
Right.
So I read that at speed because it's just babbling nonsense.
There's a lot of babbling going on there, yeah.
And yet, at the same time,
Oh God, there's more.
a letter is received by Stephen White, the nephew. Mr. White will send the $5,000, or part of it, before tomorrow night, or suffer the painful consequences. Grant.
Who is Grant? He's getting carried away with his letter writing.
So several of these letters by this Grant have been sent around. The letter writer is accusing Stephen White of being involved in this. He's accusing everyone, blackmailing them at the same time. The committee decide that they will send money to Mr. Grant. Okay. Mr. Grant has left a PO to the Knapp family. He's left a PO in some of these letters. Okay, fine. We're going to send $50 and we'll see who picks it up.
See what happens.
They station people at a post office. A man no one has ever seen before turns up to collect the money. And of course, they pounce. They pounce. The man who was brought in reveals he is not Charles Grant, because Charles Grant doesn't exist.
Absolutely, of course not.
He is a man named Palmer. He's an ex-convict, but he reveals that he knew the Crown and Shield brothers, and that they had indeed been hired with the promise of $1,000 to kill Captain White. And they had been hired by Joseph Knapp Jr. And his brother Frank. And I think that's time for another drink.
Another drink? Oh, go on then.
So, Nick, the Knapp brothers are arrested. They are jailed alongside the Crown and Shield boys.
Check them all in the jail.
They're all in the jail. The Crown and Shield boys, Richard, who's supposed to be the perpetrator, who's been hired. He's very nonchalant. He doesn't, he doesn't care at all. Joseph Knapp Jr. is in jail. It's not long before he confesses everything, which no one was expecting.
No, indeed not.
In a roundabout way, I can't read the whole confession, but Joseph Knapp Jr. reveals that he realised that when the captain died, according to the most recent copy of his will, Mary Beckford, his wife's mother, was due to inherit around $15,000.
Okay.
Great.
A substantial sum, yep.
But there's a lot more. There would be a lot more if he died without leaving a will. Because as he understood it, the estate would be divided equally between Mary and her brother. He was wrong about this. There was a caveat, but would not have resulted in this. But however, he thinks...
That's what he believed would happen.
This is what he thinks. So he thinks if he dies and he doesn't leave a will, I'm quids in. Mother-in-law goes to the daughter, only daughter.
Yeah.
And I'm the husband, I get all that cash. So Joseph Knapp had snuck into the captain's bedroom 4 days before the crime, and he had snatched the will from the room. He had hidden it and then destroyed it. He enlisted his brother Frank to help him hire the Crown and Shield brothers because he was too frightened. They thought about doing the crime together, but they thought, no, let's get someone else. They promised them $1,000 to bump the old man off. Frank let Richard into the house. He said it was a beautiful moonlit night.
How romantic.
Romance in the air. And while the Knapps waited outside, Richard indeed clubbed the old man over the head. He was pretty sure he'd killed him with that blow, but he thought, I'll just stab him.
Just make sure.
Stab him. Made sure he was dead. Out the door. A few days later, though, Richard turned up at the Knapp home demanding his money.
Yeah, where's my
Said,
cash?
I don't care when you're getting your inheritance. I want my money.
Yeah.
The problem is that the Knapp brothers had been relying on this massive inheritance, and then they realised they weren't actually going to get as much as they thought, so they really don't have the money to pay for Richard. And so this is where this cycle of letters appears to have come from. Now, we don't know exactly who wrote what, because the confession of Joe Knapp is enough.
Yeah.
Is enough. Like, right, we've got this confession. And Richard Crowningshield, who was exuding confidence in the jail, he had asked for books on mathematics and Cicero's orations and was just genuinely like, I'm definitely going to get off.
Absolutely.
When he hears that Joe Knapp Jr. has confessed, he collapses.
Yeah. That's less good for him.
His life of crime came tumbling out of all the witnesses and acquaintances of his. And what would end up is that Richard Crowningshield would eventually hang himself in his prison using 2 silk handkerchiefs. But his death genuinely threw a spanner in the works, because the Knapp brothers were accessories to murder. He was the murderer. But the law at the time dictated that accessories could not be convicted unless the murderer
Unless the perpetrator
had been convicted. And it makes sense. You know, you think about that and go, oh, okay. So it seemed that the Knapps could get off scot-free. That is until... I have to compress all of this because a lot of legal wrangling.
A lot of legal shenanigans going on here.
Trust me.
So many landmark rulings.
You need to take a drink because the big man is about to come in here. The big man who you probably never heard of, and yet the prosecution decided to bring in the big guns, famed lawyer and senator Daniel Webster.
Yay.
He is called in to prosecute. Now, no, I wouldn't have known who that is. You've got to think Robert Shapiro, Johnny Cochrane, Amal Clooney of the time. Famous. This man has negotiated between the North and the South. He has risen through the ranks as a lawyer, as a politician. He is a senator. His dramatic dark colouring and relentless gaze had earned him the nickname Black Dan. All of his outfits and his look, everyone talked about him. I mean, like, he is the celebrity of celebrities of lawyers. We'll just address the fact, a little bit of a drinker, a bit of a drunkard, and did not do good things about slavery later on. Had pro abolishing slavery and then just turned around because of his political leanings.
Yeah.
Bad man. But still, at the time, his skills as an orator are famed. And he took on the case, and oh boy, did he have some juicy speeches. He addresses the jury, and he states, "This bloody drama exhibited no suddenly excited, ungovernable rage. The actors in it were not surprised by any lion-like temptation springing upon their virtue, or overcoming it before resistance could begin, nor did they do the deed to glut savage vengeance, or satiate long-settled and deadly hate. It was a cool, calculating, money-making murder. It was all hire and salary, not revenge. It was the weighing of money against life, the counting out of so many pieces of silver against so many ounces of blood."
Very nice.
You've got to picture the defense when he says his opening statement going, "Oh, fuck.
No, we're screwed."
No chance whatsoever. The one defense is that the naps could not be accessories to murder because they weren't in the room at the time. They were outside. But
it's flimsy.
He gives a blistering statement that says the fact that they were nearby, the murderer would have known he could have called on help at any time. And he describes the scene. A healthful old man to whom sleep was sweet. The first sound of slumbers of the night held him in their soft but strong embrace. The assassin enters. Through the window, already prepared, with noiseless foot he paces the lonely hall, half lighted by the moon. He winds up the ascent of the stairs and reaches the door of the chamber. Of this he moves the lock, but soft and continued pressure, till it turns on its hinges without noise, and he enters and beholds his victim before him. Everyone in the courtroom is on the edge of their seat.
Absolutely, I am.
Chewing popcorn, whatever was available at the time, bits of wood, they don't care. This kind of passage, I'm going to come back to why that's so important, but it has everyone in their rapture. There's a literary critic called John Nichol who would later write about his oration during this court case. One seems to hear the bones of the victims crack under the grasp of a boa constrictor. Isn't that good?
Very nice.
After just the onslaught from Webster and the defense going, what? God.
We don't stand a chance.
The jury take just 5 hours to find Frank Knapp guilty of murder, and his brother Joe is later convicted of the same crime. Rather than any of the debate about accessory, the accessory needs to be alive, the murderer needs to be alive. No. They are guilty. They are guilty. Both men are hanged. The brothers are hanged 3 months apart. George Crowninshield was acquitted. The brother of Richard, he wasn't there. Yeah. His great alibi is he was with 2 women that night.
Okay.
Having a great time.
Having a jolly old time.
Absolutely. And this story was a sensation of the time that would not only inspire The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. It figures in his writing, and he was a native of Salem. But also, everyone credits to the Gothic masterpiece that is The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. And I will be reading that this weekend on Patreon. Any goddamn excuse to read that story, but that's why I read Webster's bit, because you're like, oh my God, that's so The Telltale Heart.
That's there.
So there you go. That is the story of a sensational murder in Salem.
That's a good story. Well done you. Well done you. Well done.
Well done me.
Well done you. That's a good story.
I wanted to go to Salem.
And you did it.
And I did. I succeeded.
And it in style.
Do you want to hear the last thing that the Salem Gazette wrote?
Go on then.
About the Committee of Vigilantes.
Oh, go on then.
Vigilance.
Not vigilantes.
Vigilance. The public owe a large debt of gratitude to the Committee of Vigilance for the secrecy, prudence, and zeal with which they have laboured to elucidate this horrible mystery. With an energy that has never been tired, with a boldness that has never shrunk, and with a sagacity not to be misled, they have pursued their tiresome duties to this result.
Well done them.
I don't think they did a lot. Everything was put in their fucking place. Like handed letters. Come on.
I do like the constant references to their silence.
I know.
Well, you may think if they've been going around people's houses with no warrants, they've seen some shit.
Well, this is what I'm
going
thinking.
through people's drawers and stuff like that, looking for, oh, Christ. so it's like, I shall tell no one what I've
We're
seen.
trying to find a murderer. We have seen some weird
seen
stuff.
Some weird shit in bedside tables.
My eyes. We very much appreciate your discretion.
Yes. Well done on the silence.
But also, there's a vigilante group that banded together and did nothing until some people sent them letters. Because it wasn't going fast enough.
It wasn't going well, really.
It does seem like Richard Crowninshield sent a letter blackmailing, and then Knapp sent the other 2 letters just going, oh, shit, babbling away.
But I'm slightly in love with a lawyer, I have to say.
Oh, Dan Webster.
Yeah.
Daniel Webster.
Good old speeches.
You can read the whole transcripts of his opening statements, his closing statements. They're so good. They are... You kind of want to punch him in the face a little bit because they're too good. He was a defense lawyer. Famously, he wanted to be a defense lawyer. He did not want to be on prosecution. He wanted to defend the rights of the noble man, which would come back to haunt him later on, where it was like, dude, your morals.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he took on this case. He was convinced to take on this case in that very kind of whiskey drinking, like, no, I'm done. No, come on, Dan, Black Dan, you got to do it. You can do it.
No one can do it but you.
It's very good. So there you go. Murder in Salem.
Marvellous.
That doesn't involve burning
Not
innocent
a witch
people.
in sight.
Doesn't involve hanging innocent women. I would ask you what you think about things, but
Well, about what? They killed people. They killed a man. That's
it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah,
isn't
exactly. There's not a huge amount of ambiguity going on with this. Yes, they killed a man because they wanted his cash.
Yeah, they did.
So,
But they didn't steal the cash from the room. They just wanted to inherit.
Yeah, they still wanted the cash.
Yeah.
And they still thought they were going to get all the cash.
I like the cash as a red herring.
Yeah, well, if you think, well, I'm going to get billions of dollars, or however much, then a chest of doubloons is nothing in comparison to the billions I'm going to get next week.
Depends how much of a crow brain you have. You go, oh, shiny.
Shiny.
No, the bigger picture. The bigger picture.
No,
but it's so shiny.
They were thinking bigger picture, really, weren't they?
Yeah,
they
were.
So it wasn't a smash and grab type affair.
Yeah.
Of get everything shiny I can find, then run away. There was no, I'm in for the long haul and I'm gonna get what I can out of it.
The legality of inheritance at the time that Joseph Knapp thought he had nailed, Joseph Knapp Jr., it is quite difficult when you read it and you go, what?
Sure, yes.
But it's like whether you inherit and it's split between 2 siblings or all of the family also get a share of it. It's quite complicated, but he thought he would just be entitled to everything that the mother-in-law got. And there was no way that was going to happen. No. There was no way that was going to happen.
So obviously there are other nephews and there was other family and things.
But also, regardless, that your man was making 1 million wills a day. So he was never going to get it.
Never going to get it. Foolish man.
Foolish man. Well, what do you think, people? What do you know of the stories of the murders in Salem, of the murder of Captain Joseph White? And it was quite sensational at the time because it was probably all the press going, for once, it's not about witches.
But biggest murder in the history of the world ever? That I'm going to go possibly not.
Is it because he was wealthy? Tell us what you think in the comments of wherever you listen to this podcast. What do you think of Salem? Would you like to hear more about Salem crimes? Would you like to hear about the Salem witch trials? We would happily consider it. And join us on social media to share your thoughts, your feelings about Spooky Month. But the most important thing you need to do is mix up a drink. And I would say maybe
make a cloak and dagger. Maybe make something else.
Maybe make a French 75.
See, I'm not a massive fan of a French 75.
I am, because it involves booze. It involves champagne.
Yes, well, so does this.
Yeah, but it doesn't have fucking chartreuse in it. And I'm not saying that I went, I'm going to spit it out. It did make me go, there's something wrong there. Me personally.
You. Well, and we know you're wrong. So, we've covered this many, many times. But the recipe will be out on Friday. Will be out this evening. Try it if you dare.
If you dare for Spooky Month.
For Spooky Month.
Oh, where is the real horror? Is it in the graveyard or is it in the glass? Tell us what you are drinking this weekend. Share your pictures. And thank you to everyone who is sharing pictures of the merch you're receiving from our special higher tier of Patreon. We so love seeing it. It is an added benefit if you're on the higher tier of our Patreon. You get a special gift pack from us and a special handwritten note because we're so lovely. And keep sending us more suggestions of stories that we can cover for Spooky Month, but also into the winter season. Thanks for listening, guys. We have been the people inside the Poisoner's Cabinet. We will see you next week. And remember, your loved ones are trying to kill you.
Bye.